everyone. It's Bob and Alec. We did pick up a couple of brand new ATVs. I don't know if y'all remember a couple of years ago, 2013, I picked up 150 Rocetta, and Alec, we got him a 125cc Coolster. Well, he's done way outgrown that. Mine's seen better days, and I never really cared for the automatic transmission. It just seemed like the unit can go so much faster, but you only had one gear. So we looked around, and I found these Rhinos. The company is Tao Tao, 250 Rhino. I don't know where they got the 250 one from, because I think the engine is actually 200 cc's. But we got them through Superior Power Sports, and I went online and went through everything, looked it up, talked to the guy, ordered it. So I said, all right, I paid through PayPal to make sure that I had some protection. And I said, well, we rolled the dice, let's see what happens. So, of course, we were concerned what we were going to get, but went through R&L shipping. They were good as gold, because actually both bikes were shipped way faster than I thought. Actually, I had to call them up and tell them, slow down, I'm not going to be in town to receive these. I was working in North Dakota. And so they were more than happy to put it off until Monday, yesterday. And they said they would call 30 minutes before they did. Fellow was nice as could be. We live on a dirt road. It's not real good. And he brought that 18-wheeler right in here. And here we are. We got them out of the pallets. We broke everything down to where it's nothing but on these frames. And I figured I'd give you an update. Right now we're going to take the metal frames and disattach the units from the frame and see if we can't get them lifted up onto these wooden platforms. And we're going to try to pretty much get these things put together at the same time. Not a scratch on them, man. They look perfect so far. So we'll see how it goes from here. We sent my wife into town. She's getting the NGK spark plugs. We're going to go Lucas Oil synthetic with a specially designed for a wet clutch. 1040, I think. I don't know. I'll refresh my memory whenever I pull it out the sack. You can see that. But we're going to empty the oil. Somebody told me that they actually put sesame seed oil for cooking in these things. I don't think that's true, but nonetheless, we're not going to take any chances. Right now, we're going to start putting this thing together. And if I have any issues, I'll stop and point them out to you. We have both bikes off of the metal frame that it was attached to. Threw that off to the side. Alec and I made some 2x4 platforms some time ago just to support our camper when we were doing the repairs on it. But since then, we've used them for shooting platforms and whatever else. Now, we put both these ATVs on top of one each, and they feel like a champ getting it off the ground. So anyway, the next thing to do is we want to get the wheels put on, and that's where the first problem came. The directions say to fill up the tires to 25 psi to get the bead seated on the rim, and then once that is accomplished, you back the air out to 10 psi, and that's what you're supposed to ride around on. Thing is, we went to fill it up, and the toolkit comes with a little tire pressure gauge, and neither one of them worth a damn unless I'm doing something wrong. But hell, I've been checking tire pressure for 30 years, and I couldn't get them things to register anything. So I know I'm over 10 psi. I know I'm under 25 psi. I need to get my hands on a decent tire gauge, and then we'll adjust accordingly. So once we get the back tires, we're going to do that now on both of them. It's pretty straightforward. It's a splined axle with a castle nut and a cotter pin and a locking washer. So we'll get all that rocking and rolling, and then we'll give you another update when we start the front tires, because there's a little bit more to them than that. We got to disconnect one of the upper control arm or the upper ball joints to swing the spindle around and get the tie rod ends all hooked up. Still, it's nothing real difficult, but I'll give you an update when we get ready to do that. The rear wheels are installed. That was pretty straightforward. There was no surprises there. I had Alec go through all the nuts and bolts in the surrounding areas, like the sprocket and the brake disc there and whatnot. Did see if there was anything loose. Did you find anything loose?
Nope, everything was nice and snug.
Good. So, well, that's what we're going to do as we continue forward is any little bolts that we see, whether it be for fixtures, especially for suspension and drivetrain, just to make sure that it's all good and tight. When we start getting into some of the fittings that don't have castle nuts, we're going to be using Loctite or a Loctite type product to ensure that nothing comes loose when we're out in the desert. So a lot of the videos that I saw, the spindle is in back all the way here, and it's in between where the bracket for the shock goes. Now the shock is not attached, so I was able to just lift it and then turn the, so I didn't have to disconnect any ball joints or anything like that. So all this seems to be good. I will have to take this one bolt out, and I'm noticing that unlike my Rocchetta, all the bolts and all the nuts, I should say, have a nylon lining inside, so they're not coming out. They're good and snug. However, on the downside, I'm not seeing any fittings that you put in for you to grease up your suspension. I don't see anything. On my Rocchetta, I had them all over the place, but we'll see. But right now, we'll take off this washer, this cotter pin, this castle nut. We'll put the brakes on. We'll put we'll take this bolt out and put the bottom of the shock absorber in, and then we'll have to take the tie rod in and put it onto the spindle as well. So once we get that taken care of, then I guess we're moving on to brackets, putting on brackets, right? Okay, so anyway, we'll check with you once we get this taken care of. Thanks. Okay, we got the front wheels on. Brakes are in there for the drums, for the brake shoes. Tie rod end has been attached, snugged down, shock absorber, same thing. Got that taken care of on both bikes. Everything's good and snug. Now, something I did have a little issue with was you put the brake light on here. There's a little bracket, and you have to take 4 bolts out that are underneath, and one's kind of attached to the muffler brace. See if I can't. These bolts right here, there's no nuts. They just go straight into, I don't know, I guess the nuts are welded on the other side of the bracket that it attaches to. But you're going to have to spread it a little bit, because right here is the muffler bracket. So here's the muffler, of course. And it causes this bracket to not be flush. And this goes to the brake light in the back there. Now, the reason I bring these up is I had a tough time getting these to line up. I had to tap with a mallet to get it started. It's almost like there's a couple of pieces of metal layered in there, and they have to be lined up as soon as you take the bolts out, because these are in. And in order to put this bracket for the tail light in, you have to take them out. And it's kind of tough getting them in there. Some of them I almost felt like I cross-threaded them. It's just tough. This one in particular, I had such a hard time, and finally I said, screw this. I got an impact hammer on my driver, impact driver, 1/2-inch drive, and I got it on there. Wham, it went in. So it looks nice and snug and flush, so it's not damaged or anything, but it took some doing. So be ready to have a little bit of a hard time with that. So the other thing, Alec, while I was putting those on and finishing the front wheels, Alec put the footrests on both bikes. I think you said you were missing a couple of bolts. Two, but we were able to get some off of the. I don't know. There was something that was attaching the frame to the chassis of the bike. We saved all of those, and fortunately, they were the same. They weren't colored green with an Allen head top, but it was the same type of screw with the same threads, so it worked out okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the brackets to the front. We're going to get the handlebars. We're going to get the bracket in the back. And then once we get all that taken care of, we're going to pull these off. We're going to get the wood, get them off the wooden platforms that we've been using. So far, so good. I'm not at all disappointed. These bikes came in good shape, and they're going together pretty well. So we'll give you an update as soon as we get the those brackets put on. Well, we kind of suspended work last night. Got up this morning and went around, tightened up everything. We got the NGK spark plugs in. I used Lucas motor oil, specially formulated for wet clutch, 4-stroke motorcycle oil. That's in both cranks. And I just got finished fueling them up, checking for leaks all around. And we're gonna try to get these things started for the first go around. I mean, I gotta say I'm happy, but we gotta be critical in something, right? You can see there's no grease fittings at all on these control arms, upper or lower. Now, the plastic. Even though we have additional fenders on this, the chains look a little beefier on these. On the footrest, we were missing 2 of these screws. There's one of them right there. We had a regular screws with the same nuts on the back, but they're just got a screwdriver head on them as opposed to the Allen head, and these are shiny as opposed to the green Allen head. These are shiny regular screws. You can see the difference here. There's a shiny regular screw head, flat off Phillips. That's one that just, I don't know, was used on the frame to hold everything together. And then we have the one that's supposed to be the Allen head with a nice green color. So we're missing 2 of those. Other than that, as far as RL shipping, delivering them straight to us, tickled to death about that. Came basically without a scratch. The molded plastic that's sitting on top of the frames, that's a little, I don't know, warped, especially on the front. I don't know if you can see that. It's on both. But so far so good, and they look bitchin'. Went around, retightened everything. So I guess enough of that. Let's see if we can get them to start. much effort to get it going. Small adjustment on the carb, on the idle. Seems to be idling okay. Good. Shifting, it's going to take me a little bit to get used to it, but not bad. Now this bad boy. Is neutral. Well, could take a while to learn these shifters. Not exactly real smooth, but I guess that's me learning them. Plastic on the back, as it's going, it slaps against the bracket, the metal brackets themselves. We'll have to figure out a way to get that a little bit more secure, but for the most part, I'm pretty tickled. Let's see how everything holds out. We still got some mods to do.